the introduction of the name of Douglas MacArthur, one of the Admiral's eyelids might have flickered. But Nimitz was prepared for this moment, for he had long ago learned that you cannot take without giving, and Nimitz would give with an alternative to King's cherished plan. He suggested to his chief that if he acquiesced in MacArthur's liberation of Luzon and recapture of Manila, these victories would clear the Pacific for the direct invasion of Japan's home islands by seizing Iwo Jima and Okinawa and using them as staging areas. King's eyebrows rose as Nimitz continued. This would completely sever Japan from her oil sources in Borneo, Sumatra, and Burma, and without this lifeblood of war, her fleets could not sail, her airplanes fly, her vehicles roll, or her industries produce. Equally satisfying, from Okinawa and Iwo, the giant B-29s, or superforts, could intensify their bombardment of Japan proper and might conceivably even bomb Nippon into submission without the necessity of invading her home islands. Admiral King listened intently to Nimitz's recital, shooting out tough, incisive questions. He admitted that he had read a Joint Chiefs report questioning the feasibility of a Formosa invasion, although he did wonder openly about the wisdom of hitting Iwo only 760 miles from Japan and within the prefecture of Tokyo itself. Turning to Admiral Spruance, who 3 months earlier had informed the Navy chief that he favored attacking Okinawa, he asked, "Haven't you something to say? I thought that Okinawa was your baby." Never a man to allow himself to be caught between the upper and nether millstones of command, Spruance replied that he thought his direct superior, Nimitz, had summarized the situation nicely, and he had nothing to add. To the Nimitz team's gratified surprise, Admiral Adamant graciously agreed to substitute Iwo and Okinawa for his cherished Formosa plan, even though that meant he must put his eagerness to help China on hold. It might have been that Nimitz's proposal was attractive to him because it delayed the politically explosive question of who would be the supreme Allied commander in the Pacific, Nimitz or MacArthur. For years, Douglas MacArthur had actively sought that eminence, almost insanely jealous as he was of the title Supreme Allied Commander, European Theater, held by his former clerk, Dwight Eisenhower. To that end, he had cultivated the support of powerful politicians and the conservative stateside press, desisting only when an exasperated Franklin Delano Roosevelt informed him that if the Pacific were to have a supreme commander, it would be Nimitz. This way, King may have reasoned, his decision, bound to be popular with neither side in the abrasive Army-Navy rivalry of World War II, could be delayed until the actual invasion of Japan, if there were such an operation, for both Nimitz and King dreaded the fearful carnage, both American and Japanese, that might occur if it were attempted. As sailors, they understood perhaps better than the always optimistic soldier MacArthur the terrible consequences if such a gigantic amphibious operation were to fail. So the conference in San Francisco ended on a happy note, with King returning to Washington to report his approval to his comrades on the Joint Chiefs, and Nimitz, with his flag officers, going back to Hawaii to plan for the new operations and especially for Iwo and Iceberg, the code name for Okinawa. Okinawa lies at the midpoint of the Ryukyu Islands and almost between Formosa, Taiwan, 500 nautical miles to the southwest, and Kyushu, 375 miles to the north. Because there is no hard and fast rule for translating Japanese geographical terms, shoto, meaning various islands or group of islands, ganto or reto, a group of islands, shima or jima, an island, or iie, an islet. This narrative will use the general English words for the same. In ancient times, Okinawa was a dependency of China, paying an annual tribute to the imperial court at Peking. The group of islands was called the Liu Chiu, the Chinese word usually pronounced Lu Chu, meaning either pendant ball or bubbles floating on water. But after annexation by Japan in 1879, their new lords, who have great difficulty pronouncing